Have you tried turning it off and on again? It is the most hated sentence in the history of technology. When your computer freezes, your Wi-Fi drops, or your software starts acting like it has a mind of its own, IT gives you that advice. It sounds lazy. It sounds insulting. It sounds like they're trying to get rid of you because they don't actually know how to fix the problem. But what if I told you that restarting isn't a brush off? It's a surgical strike against the most common cause of digital chaos. Today, we're going to look at why the simplest advice is actually the most sophisticated tool in an engineer's kit. Hey everyone, welcome back to the South Era Network. This is Tech Talks with Hustan. Today, we are defending the most cliched advice in the history of technology. We're going to explain the science of the restart method and why your computer needs a fresh restart more than you think. Restarting isn't random, it isn't superstition, and it definitely isn't magic. It works because computers don't start fresh every single day. They accumulate what we call state. Think about your computer when you first turn it on in the morning. It wakes up, loads a core operating system, and then begins layering services on top of it. It loads drivers for your keyboard, your mouse, and your screen, etc. It starts background processes for your antivirus, your cloud storage, and your updates. Then finally, it opens your applications. All of this happens in a very specific, rigid order. The problem is that once that chain is running, it rarely resets. Apps stay in your RAM, services keep running in the background for weeks at a time, temporary files pile up like junk mail on a kitchen counter. Connections to servers stay open even if they aren't being used. From the outside, your laptop or your computer looks fine. The screen is bright, the icons are where they should be, but internally, things are drifting apart. Here's the part most people miss. Your system can be completely wrong internally and still appear to work on the surface. This is where the mystery glitches come from. For example, a program can crash visually, the window disappears, but its process stays alive in the background. You think the app is closed, so you try to reopen it, but the new version of the app tries to connect to that old broken process that's still lurking in the memory. From your perspective, nothing makes sense at all. The app won't open, or it's laggy, or it crashes immediately. But from the system's perspective, nothing ever really stopped. It's literally trying to build a house on a broken foundation. This is where instability begins. And it usually starts with something called memory leak. A memory leak happens when an application asks the system for a piece of RAM to do a task. It uses that memory, but when the task is done, it forgets to give it back to the computer. It just holds on to it. Over time, your usable memory shrinks in size. Performance degrades. Your computer starts feeling slow, laggy, or unresponsive. It's not because your hardware is weak or your processor is old, it's because your system state is completely polluted. In simple words, your RAM is full of zombie data that serves no purpose but refuses to leave. Beyond memory, we have background services. These are small, invisible programs that run constantly to make your life easier. They handle printing, networking, audio, and user authentication. If just one of these things hang, meaning it gets stuck in a loop or encounters an error that it cannot recover from, everything depending on it starts misbehaving. If your printer spooler hangs, your word processor might freeze every time you try to save a file. You might think that the word processor is broken, but the major culprit is a tiny service that you've never even heard of. Then there are drivers. Think of driver as a software translator. Your Wi-Fi card and your operating system speak two different languages. The driver sits in the middle and translates that. Now, this translator or driver can get stuck or get confused. Your Wi-Fi driver, your Bluetooth driver, or your GPU can get stuck in an error state. When that happens, the hardware looks physically broken. You may see no Wi-Fi at all, or no sound, or maybe your display starts crashing. You might suddenly assume that the hardware of your laptop is broken, but usually that isn't the case. The hardware is in fact completely fine, it's just the translator that stopped working. None of this usually triggers a blue screen of death or BSOD, So nothing forces a complete reset of your system. Your system just keeps going on and on these corrupted drivers. It keeps struggling along the way, and things start getting messier and more inconsistent by the hour. This is why restarting is so effective. Restarting clears the RAM completely. It reloads every single driver and starts from scratch cleanly. It also resets every background service into a known good factory state. After doing that, there are no leftovers, no zombie processes, no half-dead connections. It's important to understand that restarting doesn't repair code. If a program has a bug in it, restarting won't fix that, but it resets the state of it. Now, let's talk about updates, because this is another invisible problem that a restart usually fixes. Most modern operating systems, whether it's Windows, Mac OS, or Linux, cannot replace critical system files that are currently in use without restarting the system. Because it would be like trying to replace the engine of a car while you're driving it at 60 miles an hour on the highway. So when your computer downloads an update, those files are queued. Drivers, security patches, and core kernel components sit in a temporary folder waiting for your system to restart. This is why you see those annoying update pending restart messages. Until you reboot or restart your machine, you are essentially running a Frankenstein system. Part of your computer thinks it's updated, but the core files are still on the old versions. You are halfway patched. This is especially dangerous with security updates. You might see a green check mark saying you're protected, while the actual fix is literally sitting in a queue waiting for your restart to activate it. Now, if your system goes days or weeks without a restart, it basically means that the front door of your house is broken and unlocked, even though there is a brand new lock sitting right in front of your garage waiting to be installed. So when you finally reboot your system and everything starts working, it may feel like magic. Problems that have plagued your system for days, weeks, or months vanish in literally 30 seconds or less. There was no progress bar for repairs, there was no fixing errors screen, just a fresh login. But here's what actually happened on the back end. Corrupted memory was flushed out. Broken processes were absolutely killed. Drivers reloaded their original clean instructions. Queued updates finally snapped into their right places. That is not magic. That's housekeeping. Computers don't get tired like humans do, but they do get messy. And in computing, mess creates inconsistency. Inconsistency creates bugs, and restarting is the ultimate tool for removing that inconsistency. That's why IT professionals start their troubleshooting with this as the first step. It's not because they're lazy, it's simply because a restart eliminates entire categories of potential problems in one single step. It allows them to see past the common problems and look at the real issue at hand. If a problem persists even after a restart, then the IT personnel know that they're dealing with an actual broken hardware or a genuine software bug. So, does restarting fixes everything? Honestly, no. It won't fix a cracked screen. It won't fix a hard drive that has physically failed. It won't fix a poorly designed website which is slow by nature or due to its coding. But it fixes almost anything caused by state, memory, or logic inconsistency, which honestly is about 80% of the problems that the average user faces. So, the next time an IT professional or the help desk team tells you to restart your system, understand that they aren't trying to brush you off. They are resetting the reality of your system. They're literally giving a chance to your system to remember what it was supposed to look like before things got messy. And that's it for today's video. If this content gave you a new respect for the power button on your computer, then give that video a huge thumbs up and press that subscribe button, and also press that bell icon so you get notified of our upcoming content. Also, let me know in the comments what is the weirdest tech problem that you have solved just by restarting your system. As always, thank you so much for watching the content. I have to restart my system now, so I'll see you in the next one.